What's up, Internet? It's your pal Drew. We're here with a little mixing video. So I'm not going to mix this from scratch because that's obviously not the point. The point is to show you what I did to make this sound the way that it does. So what I would like to do before anything else is start drums. This is the first video I have used Superior Drummer 3 on. Toontrack were very, very awesome enough to send me a copy. I have to say, it is almost overwhelming how much you can do with this. It's like the closest I think I've ever been to the boomer moment of like, I don't want to learn this new technology. Like, you can use this to track your own drums, export into MIDI and trigger certain sounds, being able to load in your own samples. It's just like the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on with the kind of stuff you can do. Plus just ridiculous amount of effects that are built straight in. It's like running a DAW inside your DAW. It's super ridiculous. If you are serious about crafting drum tones, this is one heck of a way to go. So within Superior Drummer 3, we are using the modern metal EZX, which is Will Putney's newest addition to the EZX line. I figured it would be fitting because he tracked the original song. We have this humongous kit here. So I used some Roland electronic drums from the MIDI out into my Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. So with almost no processing, we've got a couple of little EQ curves and some transient designers, just because I'm sending these to like similar outputs and stuff. Like, we have both of our snare top mics going to 7 and 8. So I wanted to be able to do some EQ before they got summed into that one channel. Here's our totally unprocessed drums. The sheer amount of microphones in this. We've got two different kick ins. We've got a kick out, a kick front, which is like a sub kick kind of a thing. Two different snare top heads, a snare bottom and a snare trash mic / side mic. You've got your rack toms and hi-hats mic'd. Here's an example of Superior Drummer 3. It's just still going above and beyond. So these aren't technically spot mics, I think. I'm not certain on this. I am pretty sure they are actually just the separated out cymbal mics from the overheads. All right, let's just keep overdoing it. An overhead and an overhead far, which you can kind of use for an even bigger picture. And we have room close, room mid, room mono. And beyond that, we have a stairs mic. No bleed enabled for our snare bottom because it's a drum programmer and we can. And then we've got full bleed there. And then on our stairs / chamber mic, I've turned off all of our cymbals and we just have kick, snare, and toms. And I've got the kick turned down, which is something I just kind of always do in my big reverb tracks. And then I have the toms turned down a little bit, and then I've just blown the snare out because it's basically what I want is a snare reverb track. There we are with this. So this is with all of our in Superior processing done. So let's start bringing stuff back to life here. I'm pretty sure I did almost nothing to this kick. Yep, just pulled out some of the low mid kind of woofy stuff because I pretty much just wanted a straight sub. So there's almost nothing happening here. And it looks like I did almost nothing on the snare bus as well. We have got a completely untouched snare top, although actually I did do a little bit of EQing in here. Looks like I pulled out some ringy stuff and pulled out kind of a fizz spot and then just boosted those lows. Everybody judged me for my curves. You fight me on it if you will, but it sounded good. Okay, so pulling out more ring. So I kind of did the guitar style. One of these is kind of more for top end than the other one, even though we already do have a snare bottom mic doing our top end for us. So let's do a little bit of processing on our snare bottom. just pulling out some ringy stuff and then getting rid of some weird attack stuff there, and then boosting our super top end. All of that we then bring together with our snare bus. So we have our snare top and snare bottom going into this snare bus. And what do we do here, y'all? We got a little bit of Pro Q. I'm boosting top end still. I am pulling a big old low shelf off of this, and then we are pumping even more at the thump frequency. And it looks like I'm turning it up even more down here too. I'm an insane person. Pretty tame compression ratio here, especially for having no compression on anything yet. I'm only bus compressing this snare. Pretty fast release and a very slow attack, blending in just a little bit of the dry signal with a whole bunch of look ahead. So basically the whole point is I'm essentially transient designing, but with a compressor. So yeah, now you get some more ring and it sounds nice and angry, and that's our snare bus. So our hats, there's probably almost nothing happening here. I'd be very surprised. Okay, there's weird stuff happening. Looks like this is a lot of top end here, so I kind of tried to pull this back. Probably should have just pulled this down, but fight me. We're getting rid of some stuff there. We're getting rid of a little bit of whistle and a little bit of shh right there. That's it for them hats. Let's keep on moving to this tom bus that basically isn't used in this whole song. That's it. No, we got the bepper the bepper. Looks like I just didn't even process this one, so that says something for you. Kind of as usual, pulling some low mid out of there, and then it looks like I actually pulled some attack out, so holy crap, good job, Will. Probably gonna be just about the same thing. Yep, this is nice bog standard tom processing stuff, trying to bring up the resonance frequency a little bit, getting rid of some and then right here I'm bringing up a little bit of attack, and it's gonna be the same thing here, I guarantee. Yep. It might actually literally be, I just copied and pasted the plugin. On our tom bus, got a nice little low shelf because I'm lazy apparently. And before that, I am saturating the poop out of these toms, basically to get rid of all transients, because it kind of seems like that's how Will does it. Still, actually, not that crazy. Now we move on to, I think I assumed that the ride was mic'd on its own. Once again, lots and lots and lots of treble on these guys. So I'm pulling down treble and then boosting up the kind of ringy frequency, which is obviously what you need for your ride bell when you do the ting, ting, ting parts like this. 4. Not too much going on there. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna mute these guys. Here's this, kind of brings a little bit out. Just puts more of a focus on the lingering bits as opposed to the angry transient. I'm basically doing the same thing again. I've got some heavy, heavy compression with like an immediate attack and a slow release, which is basically just to completely squash the whole thing and make it ring, 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 ring. This is just going to be a really nice example of overdoing it like crazy. You can accomplish really great sounds with doing all this crap. I just kind of wanted to show you the kind of insanity that goes into my finished mixes. I think I just have some kind of fear of like 6K. I just really don't like it. It might be these monitors, or it might just be my weird brain. So basically, I'm getting rid of some hum in the cymbals, and then getting rid of some ch as well. Kind of cleaning up some nasty frequencies there, and then I'm hitting it with Soothe, which is a very fancy and smart dynamic EQ. You can hear what it's doing there. And then we have got Decapitator adding a good bit of saturation. And so here we are so far. I like that little ride that made its way in there. Okay, so we're pulling a bunch of highs out. So I have a little bit of the overhead bars happening, which is why I'm pulling this down, because there's my 6K that I'm afraid of again. Pulling some hoom out, and then I'm betting that is snare ring. Generally cleaning up, we've got a high pass to get rid of that, which is just gonna eat headroom and not accomplish anything. And then I'm gonna beat it with this decapitator. And by that, I mean apparently literally do nothing with it other than just have the plugin running. So don't worry about that. Here, I've got a slow attack and a slow release. And basically the idea is to kind of catch the cymbal after it's been going for a little bit and then compress and then bring it back up, just so we kind of have longer cymbal shelf life. After that, running a little bit of soothe. Doing kind of the same mid-ringy cleanup stuff. Getting rid of this sort of squeaky squeak. You know, that's exactly what it sounds like, dude. You nailed it. So cool. Now we got this. So let's throw a couple of rooms in there. This is when I start having fun with my mix. I love room mics so much. I was actually kind of shocked. I really expected the room to be much bigger. Actually a pretty tiny room. Here's me pulling out some kick / snare nastiness. Probably more snare ringy. And then honestly, probably still more snare ringy. And that's probably some cymbal that's acting up. And then I'm just pulling down highs in a very strange, lazy fashion. And I'm boosting like crazy. Now we're gonna beat the croopy doopy out of it. Compressor set to all, our input super high, our attack ultra fast, and our release quite fast as well. We got our look ahead cranked, and I'm putting like basically 0 parallel in there, but it's there. So now we're here. Moving on, here's our ambient mid. Believe I just ran kick and snare and all that stuff into. No, okay, so I ran everything into this. That is different for me. Maybe I was trying something a little different. So this is me getting rid of snare frequencies, probably some woofy sounds, and then getting rid of the high cymbal stuff so that we can kind of focus mainly on our toms and snare zone in the low mid. This one I'm probably doing almost the same thing. Yep, a little bit slower of a release, and we're still pinning it like crazy, so we get... Put it all together. You can really see right there, like, that's the trick. It's all about the room mics. Now we're on to our room mono mic, and this is a thing that I realistically probably don't do enough with. I kind of need to mess with some room monos a little bit more. I tend to be a little bit mono heavy in my mixes. Got rid of some woofs, got rid of some cymbals, and boosted up. Generally what I do with my room monos is I use it to try and kind of put back in that 200 to 500 that I normally just pull out of everything else. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's what I've been doing for a long time now. Once again, I am pinning it. It is just all the way. And all together now. Now we've got our little stairs track, which looks like I'm taming some kick drum, some snare hoom, pulling up the pwah, dropping down a little bit of crack, and some kind of whisper range. So here's without. Yeah, it's basically all snare. And with. Not really doing too much, but it's adding a little something in there. So now we have all of our drums put together. So this is basically my secret weapon. It's not very secret, especially because I'm about to tell you what it is, but I love this for pretty much any mix to make it go from sounding pretty cool to sounding like over-processed ultra metalcore goodness. And the secret is slate trigger. Yeah. I feel very bad that I just talked up Superior Drummer a whole bunch and said, thank you for sending me your thing. And then I'm like, here, my secret weapon is not Toontrack. But you could pull this off. Basically, all you need is a ridiculously big room sample, and you can load that right into Superior Drummer 3 and have that trigger at the same time. I copied the MIDI track from the original recording, put it down here, so that I wouldn't have to deal with audio routing latency stuff. So it's just being triggered by MIDI as opposed to audio. And I just have this gigantic snare track. I really love these slate snare drums. They already sound humongous, but once we're through with them, oh man, I'm boosting up mid a bunch, so it kind of gives you the I'm cleaning out a little bit of excess junk in the lower mids, cleaning out a ring, bringing up the attack, and then pulling down the kind of hiss, which also is at 6K. I'm so predictable. So now you know the drill. We are going to ruin this track with some compression and basically take it from a large room into a never-ending space chasm. And this is very similar to Ackle's idea of kind of adding a distorted snare drum track. We're essentially just distorting this. Yeah. That just kind of adds your little cannon noise in there. And without, with. It's awful in the best way. Let's chuck a couple of finishing touches on these old drums here. What are we gonna do with this drum bus, dude? Almost nothing with EQ. It looks like I'm pulling a little bit of shh out of the top end, still adding a little bit of which is probably to kind of bring the cymbals back a little bit or something like that. And I've got our Waves SSL comp, which I am going crazy with. I have a 30 millisecond attack, which is pretty slow, and then I have an immediate release. And basically what I'm doing right now is taking every transient from the drums and making sure that they're hitting hard as all heck with the same kind of transient snap. Here's with no compression. And here is with compression. So now, like a crazy person, I'm gonna throw a clipper on here and I'm gonna get rid of some of that super duper transient, which is going to increase our perceived loudness and give us a little bit more headroom to work with in our mix. So before, and after. Nothing huge, but still quite helpful. We're just about we're just about drum duns, you know? But we're not totally drum duns because, dude, we got to do that parallel compression. I have the same 3 plugins that I used on my drum bus so that I don't have to deal with delay compensation BS. And let's see what I'm doing here. In this bus, I am sending my kick, my snare, and my toms, and this is what it sounds like. I'm going to pull some low end out, some high end out, and then some ringing snare frequencies, which is going to be very important because we are going to blow this track up. We got that. Now we're going to clip it. On top of it all, we're going to use that same SSL bus compressor with immediate attack and immediate release with ratio on 10, and we're going to compress the crap out of it so we end up with this. So before, and after. And that gives us this. Woo! And it looks like I had something on my drum bus for whatever reason. My drum's all bus, and it looks like I'm boosting the snare yet again, just the littlest bit. And that's our drum sound. Hi, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider hitting the like button and maybe do a little follow, subscribe kind of deal. You don't need me to tell you what to do, but I still just did. Ha! This is going to be a couple part series. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to put a couple of the parts only on my Patreon/YouTube membership. Sound good? Sounds good. Thank you. Hugs and high fives. Be safe. I'm Drewsif, and I'm freaking leaving, dude. I'm out of here.